Well, good morning, everyone. I will now call to order the November 6, 2025 Clackamas County Board of Commissioners Business Meeting. County Administrator Gary Schmidt, would you please call the roll for us?
Yes, thank you, Chair. First, our staff support today, County Counsel Billy Williams, Clerk to the Board Andrew Jaraki. Commissioner West is on his way, not here yet. Roll call, Commissioner Schrader.
Here.
Commissioner Helm.
Here.
Commissioner Savas.
Present.
Chair Roberts.
Here. Thank you, Gary. Would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first up is public communication. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes per person, and as always, I ask your comments to be respectful and courteous. As a reminder, you can also email submissions for public communication at bcc@clackamas.us, and they will be accepted as a part of our public record. We're going to take in-person testimony first, and I ask our wonderful clerk if he'd moderate that in person and virtually for us. Andrew?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you are attending this meeting in person today and wish to comment during general public communication, this is a reminder to please fill out a blue card and deposit it in the box that can be found on the table by the center doors. I will call on them in the order they are received. You will have 3 minutes each. First, Mr. Scott Kaiser, Councilor Kaiser of the City of Molalla, please come forward.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning.
Commissioners. Good morning, Administrator Schmidt. It's kind of different being on this side, I'm not going to lie. For the record, my name is Scott Kaiser. I am the Mayor of Molalla. I'm here today to speak strongly in opposition to the pilot program, Pay in Lieu of Taxes. Let me be clear. This program is a bad deal for local communities. It takes away taxing authority of city councils, locks in rates for decades, and hands out incentives for developers that go far beyond what is reasonable or fair. Under the pilot program, a developer can lock in a 20-year tax rate. That means for 2 decades, our schools, fire department, police bonds, and public infrastructure lose the ability to grow with our population or inflation. Meanwhile, those developers are already receiving multiple subsidies, rent discounts reimbursed by vouchers, government-backed incentives, and then additional tax breaks through the pilot. That's triple dipping, and it comes directly out of the pockets of our taxpayers and service districts. Cities like mine depend on every single dollar of property tax revenue to keep our streets safe, our classrooms open, and our first responders equipped. When a private developer gets a special deal that locks out local taxing districts, that burden doesn't disappear. It shifts right back onto the people we represent. This program doesn't promote fairness. It promotes imbalance. It rewards developers for projects they're already profiting from while cutting into the budgets of those who protect and serve our communities. So today I'm asking you to stop the pilot program immediately. Protect our schools, our fire departments, and our police bonds from losing funding to a 20-year locked-in tax deal that benefits only developers. This is about local control and accountability. Cities and counties should never lose their ability to manage revenue or plan the future because a long-term sweetheart deal with private developers. Molalla is growing. Our schools are full, our first responders are stretched thin, and our infrastructure needs are real. The last thing we need is a program that freezes our tax base and gives away the future of our city for someone else's short-term gain. Commissioners, I urge you to stand with your cities, stand with your schools, stand with your first responders, and say no to a program that benefits a few at the expense of everyone else. Thank you for your time, and thank you for standing up for local government and the people we serve.
Thank you. And typically, I ask my colleagues to hold their comments to the end, but Mayor, I appreciate you taking time to come today, and I'd like to give our colleagues just a moment to comment. So Diane Helm, did you like to say
Yeah,
something?
thank you, Mayor Kaiser. And you brought this up with me when I was out to see you in Molalla, and I appreciate that. And I did some digging, and I did a little more digging. And the entire program is not only on pause, I think it has been stopped entirely. So apologies for not getting you that information sooner, but I have been meeting with various people here at the county, and it's not going to be used again, is what I have been told.
So at our level, it'll be eliminated for the next tax year?
That's my understanding, but I
Perfect.
will get a verification on that.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
And I might go to
I want
Gary.
to confirm, yes, you did by resolution last year to stop using the PILOT pilot program.
Right.
So it's not going forward. Now, Mary, I don't want to put you on the spot, but is it the ones that were already in place, is that going to still finish? Can you come, Mary? We'll find out if it impacts the ones already in place for your city mayor.
Yes.
But going forward, the board's directed not to use it anymore.
Perfect. Thank
And,
you very much.
Commissioner Salas also had a
Yeah, I just want to just echo that we already took that action. We learned, I was a pilot of a pilot, right? Play on words here, but all to say, I think that what has been implemented is contractually obligated to. So my guess is that pilot project that you have there will remain in place. That's my understanding.
So it will remain in place for the next 20 years on our city?
It's contractually obligated, as I understand it. Now, I'll let staff confirm that, but that was my takeaway when I looked into it, when you contacted me.
Okay.
And also when Commissioner Helm was contacted as well.
Okay.
And no, there's not one going on anywhere else. I think there was a misunderstanding and maybe another one was to be proposed, not by us.
Okay. There's also, one of the things we were looking at too is when the tax was imposed, it was quite possibly only imposed on phase one. And so now phase two is complete, and so they're looking at a tax rate for only half of the entire project they did. And so that's kind of one of the, and we don't know because it's at your guys' level. And so if that's the case, I mean, it's one of the reasons why we'd like the whole project eliminated if we can get away from the contract. Because number one, the city of Molalla is the taxing authority for that city. And now the county has come in and become the taxing authority. So it's, where's the lines? And I understand legislature put you guys in this place. It's not like just something the county commissioners decided to do. But there needs to be some resolution of it needs to end, like this needs to stop, especially if the project's only been appraised at half the value of the entire project. So that's kind of where we stand with it.
Oh, one more thing, Mayor, if you could contact, the tax assessor, Bronson Root is in the back of the room, so I know he's going to be coming up here shortly, but maybe afterwards you can meet with him. I think he might want to reframe, because there's some language that you just used. I think that might be technically, needs to be recalibrated. And so it might be helpful, again, for factual purposes, at least to understand exactly what's going to happen and what the taxing authority really is
Okay.
and what a taxing district is. There's two distinct things there.
Okay,
Okay?
perfect.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Appreciate the time.
again for coming today.
Morning, Commissioner West.
Good morning, Mayor.
Next, Stephen Hunter. Stephen Hunter, please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Stephen Hunter. I am a resident of Wilsonville. My contact information is on the letter I have presented to you. I appreciate this opportunity to publicly express my opinion and convey information of concern. I wish to bring your attention to a growing issue within Wilsonville city government. The issue is the adversarial attitude and mistreatment of the newly elected mayor, Mr. Sean O'Neill, towards other elected council members and citizens of Wilsonville. Recently, Mayor O'Neill's management style has resulted in the immediate resignation of a respected sitting council member and valued resident of Wilsonville, Miss Katie Dunwell. The party line excuse for Miss Dunwell's resignation is personal reasons, which is an excuse typically used when issues of deeper concern exist. We now know, in Miss Dunwell's own words, why she has resigned her seat. You have that information in front of you today. This explanation is true as conveyed by Ms. Dunwell's own hand, made public in print and social media. Of great concern to me is the verbal and emotional abuse brandished against Councilor Dunwell. Members within the medical, law enforcement, and first responder professions are trained to recognize the symptoms of bullying and psychological abuse. I know some of you on this board are familiar with such training. Victims avoiding the source of abuse, if possible, is one key symptom. This abuse is damaging and can be more permanent than physical abuse and can cripple in ways not readily obvious. Victims of psychological abuse can carry emotional scars for a lifetime. I pray Ms. Dunwell receives the help and support she so well deserves. By the same measure, the perpetrator of this abuse must be held accountable for the injury and damage he is doing. If not controlled, Mr. O'Neill will continue his pattern of abuse, as all abusers do. He will continue to victimize others that he deems weak or not in favor of his wants and schemes. These are not traits of a successful public leader, but of a tyrant and dictator. Please keep this information in mind as you conduct business with Wilsonville City Council. There is a pall of worry and concern regarding who the next victim of the mayor may be. Mayor O'Neill cannot be trusted to deal in good faith on issues of mutual civic importance. Likewise, the remaining city council members may make decisions against their will or better judgment solely to avoid the mayor's wrath or gain his favor. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Thank you.
Next, Grover Bornefeld. Mr. Grover Bornefeld, please come forward.
Hello, Chair Roberts, Commissioners, Administrator Schmidt, et al. I'm here actually for the veterans piece of this, but since I'm here, I didn't want to miss an opportunity to talk to y'all. And actually, I want to continue the celebration tone that we've had. So the opening of the Concord and the library at Oak Lodge was a great success. And I also want to thank y'all, because that library and that whole system would not be here if a bunch of us, but also ultimately if y'all hadn't done what you did to make it work. So, and I also want you to be particularly proud of that library. That is the only Clackamas County library. And I'm going to be working tomorrow in the history room there, but it is to reflect the history of all of Clackamas County. And so I want to move forward on that. I have also the thing that I want to point out is that if you saw the voting, Washington County did vote to support their library. Portland did support their parks. So it can be done, but I suggest we look at what they did to succeed. And in Washington County, I do believe there was a significant amount of support from the unincorporated, which was at risk if it didn't pass. And I think that's a similar issue that we need to look at how we go forward on both parks and library for our own, which leads me to, you haven't yet gotten, to my knowledge, the report from the task force, the Library District Task Force, which has met for several months. Shelley and Tony were phenomenal facilitators. Commissioner Savas was a great influence on that. But I do want to speak to, there was almost no actual, other than our commissioner, representation for the unincorporated, which if you leave out the west side libraries, which are almost entirely city libraries, on the east side, the unincorporated makes up nearly 50% of that population and nearly 50% of that funding, and they are the voters. So we need to make sure they're included in whatever goes forward. You're going to get a recommendation which will lead to more work, which is all great, but I do want to speak for the value and the importance of keeping the unincorporated voice and dollars and influence included, because the structure of that process was city managers, library employees, elected officials, but it was all government and no unincorporated per se. So that's all I want to say. I just really want to end on, keep up the good work. I'm looking forward to working our way. Thank you.
Thank you, Grover.
Next, Les Poole. Mr. Les Poole, please come forward.
Good morning, Les Poole, property owner here in the county. I echo his statements about the library. It took us a long time to get there, and it was pretty divisive for a while, but it all worked out, and Concord came together. Tied to that is I'm not real great on research, but I went into chat and I searched for the Clackamas Elementary School, and it talks about everything that's going on over at Concord. And the reason I say that is that the Clackamas Elementary School was purchased by the Parks District with the idea that it would have some type of a usage that would basically be somewhat like we ended up with at Concord. And of course, the significance of that is that recently the county purchased the building and the property for the recovery center. And I know next week you'll be talking about that. I'm here just to be an advocate for the neighborhood and for you getting there. So as we move along, I don't want to be misinterpreted. I'm not here trying to stop it or wishing any ill will on the project. It's troubling how we're having a reality check about money. And because those people in Portland passed a parks bill that I would have voted against, doesn't really change that. We're in Clackamas County. We're not in our own little world, but there's a message out there. The other subject I had was the treatment plant. Things are going from bad to worse out there, and I've commented about it before, and I'm referring to the Bull Run water treatment plant that's being built on the county line. And it's up to $2 billion. They had 4 providers of water, in other words, other entities that have been purchasing Bull Run water, who have walked away because of what's going on out there. And now you've got Gresham and Rockwood are spending over $1 billion to create their own system. So it's shrinking, it's literally shrinking the number of customers that are going to bear this. And it started out as a federal requirement, but the Oregon Health Authority got involved and packed on, well, I just would consider it overkill based on speaking with biologists and chemists. I'm certainly not one of those, but real deep concerns about what's going on, and of course all the damage to the county roads and the impacts that you're undoubtedly hearing about. So I'll conclude by thanking Commissioner Savas for inviting you to all go out there and take a look at what's going on Dodge Park Boulevard. That's farmland, folks, and what's going on is not okay.
Thank you.
Thank you as always.
Before I move to the final blue card I received today, this is a final reminder. If you are attending this meeting in person and wish to comment during general public communication and have not yet had the opportunity to do so, please fill out a blue card and deposit in the box that can be found by the center doors. Mr. Brainerd Brower. Brainerd Brower, please come forward.
Good morning. I'm Brainerd Brower, and thanks for allowing us to testify and listening. This morning, I don't really quite know how to frame this. I realize that my underlying theme of coming to you and bringing things up is about the community, about services, about fairness in public servants and how things are done. And specifically, I wanted to raise a topic about Oregon. I mean, the health authority, whether it's Clackamas County or the state, when it comes to decoy programs for tobacco and the lack of involvement in educating retailers on how to do the right thing when they're willing to do the right thing. But I also reflected before I came here on the term authority in the Oregon Health Authority. And now I see the term under housing authority as well. And local involvement is critical. So I certainly see, I didn't know anything about the Molalla topic. I'm reading a little bit about it. I mean, public servants have a very vital role and are put in a rough place at many times. But if they're asked to be the authority and continually cite administrative rules that I can name now, various ones that don't even fit case law, and they don't get updated, but then they're in the position of having to quote them. So in my case, I've always complied with I try to avoid a problem. I have an issue with anonymous, going after somebody. I would like the commission to avoid that, and many have tried. But I try to comply with the law, and I don't really have much of anything. I have high support for OLCC. When it comes to decoy, when it comes to tobacco, though, they take on a entirely different approach. The decoy can look as old as they want. They can make as much makeup as they want. In my case, one of my senior people, it's the only instance we ever had of anything over a year ago, was caught because the decoy person looked really old. They were a young person. They had a see-through blouse, fancy, super designer clothes, looked like an executive secretary, very expensive little purse, big gold frame glasses, but there's no restrictions on that. Talking to my OLCC inspector, he says, oh no, we are very careful. If somebody's a decoy, they need to look young. If they have facial hair, they need to shave it. They have well-established practices. So I encourage consistency in the enforcement, fairness, and also outreach. So when it comes to liquor stuff, I'm encouraged as a retailer by the distributors to carry these buzz balls. But I'm realizing they're really targeting people who are driving in, grabbing stuff, and they're the alcoholics. I'm just saying, if the Oregon Health Authority is going to do something, provide some education on well-intentioned retailers on what they could do, incentives that work and don't work. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, those are all the in-person requests to testify today that I received. With your assent, I'll move to those attending virtually. If you are attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment during public communication, this is your opportunity to please raise your hand, and I will call on you in the order that I see. This is a final call. If you're attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment, to please raise your hand. Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public, either physically or virtually present, who wish to comment during general public communication today.
Thank you. I will now close the public communication portion, and I'll turn to Gary as to what's next.
Thank you, Chair. Next is presentations, 2 presentations. The first one is our county assessor will provide a general update on property taxes. Please welcome, that's okay, welcome him with a round of applause for our county assessor, Bronson Rueda. Thank you, Assessor Rueda.
Thank you, folks. Usually there's booze, not claps.
There were groans.
So that's appreciated. All right. Good morning, Chair Roberts, members of the board. My name is Bronson Rueda, the county assessor. and I'm here today to give a brief update on the 2025 property tax season and field any questions that you may have. Let's cover some highlights here. Oops, I think I just pressed the wrong button.
One moment, Assessor Rada.
Okay, I can keep going until the slide's up. So, some of the highlights, similar to years past, everything so far is going well, knocking on wood. And the tax roll was certified with Clerk McMullen on Thursday, October 10th. My yearly press release was sent out about a week later, and property tax statements were mailed on Tuesday, October 21st, and Wednesday, the 22nd. And that's a few days before the statutory due date of the 25th. Total tax imposed this year is over $1.2 billion, which is a 5.02 increase over last year. And the average real market value of a single-family residence is nearly $700,000. I put that in there because I think it's interesting with all of the chatter that's going on and some of the vlogs that I watch regarding real estate, the difficulty in especially first-time home buyers getting into the home buying market and purchasing a home. That $700,000 really puts a damper on the American dream, so to speak, especially with the mortgage rates that increased significantly a couple of years ago. So the average real market value is about $700,000 in Clackamas County. All right, here we have a 3-year comparison of a few pieces of data. First, we have the real market value this year is over $122 billion. And I want to give a quick shout out to my staff. Each year we value all the property in Clackamas County, which is over 170,000 accounts. And so that $122 billion is the hard work that they put in over the course of the last year. Taxable value, as you can see, is over $68 billion. And the imposed tax, as I already mentioned, is over $1.2 billion. All right. So here, what we're looking at is some of the changes in the bond and local option rates that impact taxes. Kind of orientating you to the chart here. You have select districts on the left, and then at the far right, you have the change in the rate from last year to this year. One of the ones I want to highlight is third from the bottom, the Oregon City School District. Their change is $1.25 per thousand of assessed value. And we have received a lot of calls and emails about that this year, and I don't know if some of you from your constituents have received calls, but if you do, feel free to forward them to my office, and we can talk with them about why that change occurred. Essentially, there was a new bond that passed in the Oregon City School District that caused that increase. And to put things in a monetary perspective, if you live in that district, for every $100,000 in assessed value, that increases your property tax bill $125. There are over 20,000 residences in the Oregon City School District with about an average assessed value of $300,000. So that equates to a $375 increase on average for those folks. And as a percentage, that's about an 11% increase on average. So that's significant when you think about the way Measure 50 was set up back in 1997, was meant to have a 3% increase per year in property taxes, around a 3% increase. So somebody hit with 11% increase, that could hurt the pocketbook. So we are receiving some calls about that. Let's move on to the next one. So I think this is the slide that commissioners that you're most interested in every year, and that is how much is going to come to the county as far as in the terms of general funds. So at the far right, upper right of the screen, over $177 million is going to come into our coffers. Well, that's the imposed tax, so not all of that's going to come in because there's the 3% discount. And so when it's all said and done, we'll get about 95% of that over the course of the next year. And that is a 3.63% increase. And one of you asked recently, well, how does that align with the forecast that I put out in the March, April timeframe? I let you guys know about 6, 7 months ago that we would receive a 3.25 to 3.75% increase. And so that 3.63 falls within that range. Bullseye. All right, top 3 questions that we are getting this year. My taxes went up 3%, over 3%. Isn't this illegal per Measure 50? So I don't know if anybody watched my town hall last night. I know you didn't. You had your own event going on, but we did have some people. And one of the things I like to hit on every year is we get calls, dozens of calls, not hundreds, but dozens of calls every year of you guys are acting illegally. My taxes went up over 3%. That is against the Constitution. And it's a misnomer. Taxes can and do go up over 3% every year for select properties. And what the 3% is aligned with is it's the maximum assessed value. And I know this is getting into details, but I want to make it clear. It's the maximum assessed value that can't go up over 3% per year with some exceptions. And so I think people cling on to that 3% and they turn it into taxes can't go up 3%, but that's incorrect. Taxes can go up 3%, more than 3% each year. And the typical reasons why taxes go up more than 3% are changes to a property, additions, new houses built, or new money measures, bonds and local options. Those also cause property taxes to go up more than 3%. Second one on there, Oregon City School District. I covered that already. If you have questions, let me know. And the last one is, why are you reappraising my neighborhood? So the last 3 years, we've been doing reappraisal. And the reason for that is because some of our values are out of alignment. And per statute, my job is to administer the property tax laws of Oregon. And one of the main laws is to value each tax lot at a 100% of real market value. In order to do that, we need to have proper inventory of each account. And over the course of time, that inventory is incorrect. And so we go out and do reappraisal in order to fulfill our statutory requirement of having correct inventory. And so if you're getting calls from constituents about, hey, I received some notification that the assessor was out here or an appraiser was out here, we are doing reappraisal. If they're not home, we'll hang a flyer and you may receive a call about that. So just direct them towards us, or if you have questions for me that you want me to answer so you can get back to your constituent, feel free to do so, and we can move forward with that. So that is the end of my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, we do have some questions. Let's start with Commissioner West.
Thank you for coming. How are the appraisals done? Is it kind of public available data information, kind of like Zillow does it? Are you guys going door to door and going into homes to get as accurate as possible? I know that's kind of harder to do. If a random assessor just came to my house, I might be suspect about letting them in. But how is that? I'm just curious, just for the public's information, like how are these assessments done and how do we know they're accurate?
Sure. So for reappraisal, we go through so this year, we're going through Canby, both rural and in the city, and also Tualatin and Gladstone. And so we go through each neighborhood, and if we see something that is not in our records, then we'll go and knock on the door, and if nobody's home, we'll leave a flyer. If there doesn't look like there's any change to the tax lot, to the house, or to the commercial building, then we'll move on to the next one. In the last couple of years, we've learned that there's about 4% of residences, or 4% of in-town tax lots that have changed and 8% of rural tax lots that have changed. So for the most part, there's not going to be any changes to most people's value. And so how do you know that they're correct was the other part of your question. Well, it's our job to use all the tools available and our training and our expertise to value real estate. When you get your property tax bill, or sooner, if you want to call us up, if you think our value is incorrect, give us a call and we can talk about it. We use market evidence to value real estate, so if you have market evidence that shows a different value than what we have, we're more than willing to look at that market evidence, and we highly encourage people to appeal their value if you think we are incorrect, because you have to appeal by December 31st of each year, and once that timeline passes, your window closes. So if you think that we have a wrong value, by all means, appeal your property taxes. And actually, you're appealing your value, not your taxes. Appeal your value, and we can go forward with that.
Do we look at permit data, like somebody puts in a new kitchen type of thing, and then that could escalate your taxes going up because we had to permit it? You can see new permits for construction you can't see inside of a house. A lot of things are not exterior. So if someone gets a new kitchen or upgrades a bathroom or does something interior, does that inform your decision or your process on increasing?
Yes, so we have about 20,000 permits that come across our desk every year. We don't have resources to look into all those, so we have to triage those in a certain way. So we look at between 4,000 and 6,000 a year. And so one of the things you said, Commissioner Westall, it triggered me, is you said, does it raise the taxes? And so possibly, but our goal, remember, our goal is to get the inventory correct. Our job is to get the value correct. Taxes are just a calculation of the value. So our goal is never to increase taxes. Our goal is never to say we have to get, this year we had a 5.03% increase in taxes. Next year we have to have 6%. That is not something we do. We get value. We try to get value correct on our inventory, and taxes are just a calculation off of that value.
Last question, are you using drones to evaluate people's property and their tax lot?
We are not using drones. I will note that I think it's Yamhill County that is trying to get in a position to use drones. So in future years, that may be something that the appraisal field goes to, but we're not using drones. We do use aerial imagery.
Okay.
We contract with a company called Eagle View. And our department and other departments in the county, like the sheriff's department, uses our aerial imagery that we get every year, and it's a real benefit for us because it eliminates the need for me to ask Gary every year, I need more appraisers, because this aerial imagery, one of the features that it has, it's pretty cool. So it'll compare aerial imagery from last year to this year. It'll overlay those images, and it'll show us instantly if there's a new building that we need to look at, or if there's a building that's no longer there. So, not always are we adding value. Sometimes we're knocking on our door and saying, hey, we noticed that on our records, there was a 3,000 square foot outbuilding structure, and now with our aerial imagery, it's no longer there. Is this something we need to take off our inventory that would lower your value? So it goes both ways.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, could you just roll back the slide one where the graph, that one right there. So on this slide, Assessor Ruda, I'm seeing, should I or could I, or would you advise not to, look at that as a trend, that maybe next year will be less than 3.6 because it seems a trend that we maybe peaked at 5.1 and we're trending downwards? Or it's hard to, I know, with, but if there's a recession, let's say there's less building and less new assessed value brought on the rolls, that's also a factor. I know there's a lot of moving pieces to this, but would you predict that if there was a recession, that number could continue to fall?
So I know this is always said, but if I could get out my crystal ball, and take a look, I could answer that with definity. You can definitely see a trend in the last 3 years that it's going down, and you hit on it. It really depends on the amount of new construction. That's one of the big factors that goes out there that impacts if taxes are going to, the change in taxes year over year, and also new bonds and other money measures. If next year there's 5 new bonds in the county that touch multiple parcels, then that could reverse that trend of downward adjustment going upward. So at this point in the year, in our cycle, we simply don't know. It's too early to indicate whether that 2-year trend of lower percent increase is going to continue or not.
Yep. And lastly, and probably the more important one, is that knowing the taxes that you collect under all these taxing districts around this county, those monies don't all go to the county. They are divvied up to districts and cities and so forth, all these different taxing entities. So, that, can you speak to that? That 100 and, I wish we would get, well, a larger share of our portion, but $177 million is a lot of money. That's not all going directly to the county, or is it?
That is the money that's going to the county.
Okay.
So 1.2 billion, over 1.2 billion is the amount of imposed taxes this year. That goes to all the taxing districts through a regular distribution. Now, and that 177 million is what's coming to Clackamas County, that the budget committee will make a decision on how to allocate that to all the departments that we have here.
Yep, thank you for.
And I think, I'm going off of memory, it's on our website, but I think that's about 11% of the total imposed tax that the county gets.
Right, we get a small portion of that total assessed value, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Martha?
So I'm looking here between the difference of city and rural.
Which slide?
Oh, the same one we have. So what's going on with that, really?
So what do you mean by what's going on?
Well, I mean, why is the rural area a larger part of our tax base? Not by much.
Not by
I mean,
much.
well, by much, I mean, it's millions, but, 90,000 for county rural and 86. I mean,
90 million compared to 86 million. So it's
Yeah.
a matter of the value in those areas and the tax rates. So,
so the tax rates in the rural area are higher than the city, or value, or, I mean, I'm just trying to.
They are.
We'd have to go into a deep dive because there's a lot to it, but it's
I
based
know
on
my
value
colleagues
and
are
rate.
making fun of me because they're the numbers people. I'm the hard person, right? You're the numbers people.
So maybe I can just maybe
Yikes.
prompt the assessor to address this. So Assessor Ruda, those two words, county rural, does not necessarily mean rural.
Rural, county,
So
city.
where I live in Oak Grove, which is unincorporated, but it's
Okay, so
urban.
that's sure, because it's urban,
That's
yeah.
also considered rural, but it's not really rural. So maybe the assessor could explain
Sure.
and validate that.
Pay a higher tax rate.
Yeah.
It's not a higher tax, well, it is a higher tax
do
rate.
pay a
It's
higher
like
tax rate.
57 cents per thousand more.
Yeah, yeah, it's around that.
Opened up a can of
So,
worms.
so in these two, Commissioner Schroeder, in these two instances, rural, county rural basically means anything unincorporated, anything
Okay.
not in
All right.
one of the 13 cities in Clackamas County. County city, that is all the incorporated
Right,
tax laws that we have
Okay.
in cities.
All right. Well, thank you for telling me something I should have known. I appreciate that.
So I just had two questions, one of which, and I thought you might help educate everybody about where compression hits first. Is it the levies or the districts? And
Yeah.
kind of talk about that for a second, if you could.
Sure. So when there's compression, compression is calculated on a tax lot by tax lot basis. It hits the local option first. And then after the local option is depleted, then it is hit evenly between the other levy lines on the property tax statement. Compression does not reduce the bonds at all. Bonds aren't impacted by compression.
Thank you. And then I had one other question that is posed to me often. If somebody's got a house and they decide they're going to put a double-car garage or a barn or
Are you asking for a friend? Is this?
Is if you do that addition, do you reappraise the whole project, like the house is updated on its current appraisal, or do you just do a separate structure?
Right, so.
Follow my question?
So it'll be, so in your example, there's an existing house, and then you have an outbuilding that is new, maybe for the first year, it's going on the tax roll. We'll go out, we'll value the outbuilding only, and then whatever we value that at, we'll add to the real market value, and then we will add this change property ratio, might be too many details, but we'll add the change property ratio to determine the maximum assessed value for that new property, is what we call it, new property. And then that new maximum assessed value, that additional maximum assessed value will add to the current maximum assessed value to create a total for the property.
So it's added to, is what you're
Added
saying?
to.
Right, okay.
Right. And again, if you think, if you're in that situation and you think, you're like, Bronson, you guys are off your rocker, you valued it way too high, talk to us, appeal your property, and we'll look at market data that may provide a different value.
Great. Any other questions? I knew Ben had one.
Are we seeing any issues looming around compression? Is there anything that we should be aware of? Or are we kind of status quo and we're okay in that aspect? What are your thoughts?
I don't think there's anything right now to be concerned about. Compression is going to happen. We're never going to get it down to zero because we have accounts that have what's called machinery and equipment, and those are depreciating assets. So when you get compression, when you have real market value that's close to the maximum assessed value, you have less compression. When real market value in appreciating times goes up and there's more separation, then you get more compression, or less compression, excuse me. And so for depreciating assets, those get closer to the MAV, which will always create compression. And so right now we're at, what is it, 11.2 million, I think it is.
And I don't know if that's expected and good or if that's a concern. That's why I'm curious.
It's not a concern. And even if it was, it's a mathematical calculation. There's really nothing we can do about it.
Okay.
It is what it is. That's the way the Constitution, Oregon Constitution is written. You're going to calculate it this way, and it produces this result. So I know Multnomah County has a lot of compression, and that's a concern on their part. I don't want to get into the details, but we don't have any the issues that Multnomah County has, specifically the large value decrease in the center core. You know, that's what's creating some of their issue with compression, and we don't have situations like that.
We're not seeing that right now.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just kind of in closing, I just want to say thank you to you and your staff. You guys do a great job. I've had a number of questions. They're always quick to respond, and appreciate, most importantly, you doing the town halls. I brought that up the other day. I saw you were doing a town hall, and I think that's fabulous being out there and answering these questions to provide clarity. I just do have to say, though, I continue to be shocked at the average rural market single-family home at $691,000. I mean, if you look at all the income of the average population to be able to afford that, I mean, it's making it harder and harder every day. So I appreciate the facts and details. It gives us direction of, you know, how to kind of maybe meet that challenge to help find housing for that kind of really middle income now. So thank you very much. Keep up the great work. And if there's no other questions, I'll turn to Gary and we'll move on. But thank you.
All right,
Thank you,
folks.
Assessor. A round of applause. Well
Yeah,
done.
yes.
Well done.
I know. Gary's going, oh, he's going to bring us some bad news.
All right, the next presentation in honor of Veterans Day next week is approval of a resolution to recognize veterans and designate Clackamas County as a green light for Veterans County. Presenting today is Mary Rumbaugh, Director of Health, Housing, and Human Services, and Gus Bedwell, our Veterans Services Supervisor within Health, Housing, and Human Services. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Chair Roberts and Commissioners. Thank you so much for having us today to both recognize Veterans Day, which is November 11th, and to also hear about the amazing work of our Veteran Service Office and the various programs that we offer veterans across the H3S department. Clackamas County Social Services Veteran Housing Program and the Veterans Outreach Program has seen an approximate 29.3% increase in households served compared to last year. This is good news. In 2024, the program collectively served 75 veterans households, 82 adults, and 12 children. And to date, in 2025, we've served 97 veterans households, 106 adults, and 10 children. It is my honor to introduce Gus Bedwell, who is an Army veteran and the supervisor for our Clackamas County Veterans Service Office. And if you'll just do me this honor, what I'd love to do before we begin is if there are veterans in the audience, I would like to ask if they could just be, if they could stand to be recognized.
All right. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. So I will now turn it over to Gus, who's going to walk us through our presentation.
Thank you, Mary. Much appreciated. As you can see from this slide, the Clackamas County offers a wide range of services to veterans and their family members. We're one of few counties in the state that offers this level of services across the county, so very proud. Next slide. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I'll just say that Clackamas County is definitely unique in that we offer an employment program. One particular employee in particular, Ken Bishak, has worked in this program for over a decade. And this will be potentially his last Veterans Day presentation after 27 years with Clackamas County. So I'd like to just take a minute, and if Ken and his manager, Jennifer Harvey, are in the audience, please stand up to be recognized for all the hard work with these veterans throughout the years.
Wow.
As you will see from this slide, the work that they do saves lives. By putting people in well above minimum wage careers with a high retention rate, 92% at 90 days, speaks volumes to the work being done with these veterans. Next slide, please. Thank you. As a supervisor for Clackamas County Veterans Service Office, I work with a great team of professionals who help veterans and their family members. As a matter of fact, one of our newest VSOs who started last week, Caitlin Berg, is in the audience with us today. Caitlin, if you could stand and be recognized, that would be greatly appreciated. I will say, as you look through this slide, you'll see that there was a dip in monetary benefits obtained this year. However, our numbers of individuals seen and claims submitted have not decreased. And this is in spite of the fact that we've been at a 75% staffing level for the entire year. I also hope you all got our office's swag bags. Please use the material to hand out to veterans and their family members you come across in the community. In addition, we'll be talking about the Green Light Initiative. There are green light bulbs in there and a flyer on the Green Light Initiative that are in the swag bags as well that I would encourage you to hand out. I hate it when papers stick together, don't you? You know, as you look at this slide, we can all agree, like veteran suicide, one veteran homeless is one too many. As an Army veteran, I know that the goal of the Veterans Housing Team, with the support of their supervisor, Libby and Joey Johns, have spent tireless hours working with housing veterans this last year. If any of the housing team folks are in the audience, please stand to be recognized as well. As Mary Rumbine noted at the start of this presentation, the number of veterans households served increased by 29.3% in social services programs compared to last year. Clackamas County Social Services would like to recognize the exceptional work of the Veterans Rental Assistance Program, which has provided intensive support to veterans living with severe and persistent mental health. This program plays a critical role in helping participants maintain permanent housing and achieve stability while addressing their complex behavioral, health, and life challenges. So there's some significant numbers there that I would highlight for you, especially the work around the Veterans Village, and looking that veterans have been sheltered and 18 have been secured permanent housing in just this year alone. That's pretty significant on behalf of our veterans experiencing homelessness. Lastly, I'd like to take a moment to talk about our Veterans Advisory Council. I want to talk about the great work that the Veterans Advisory Council is doing to advance veterans' concerns in Clackamas County. If you are a VAC member in the audience, please stand to be recognized. That was Lori Kimmel, our VAC chair. She has done a lot, and if anybody knows Lori, you know how much she can just really get in there and drive you to get things done. We really appreciate her. The VAC leadership in particular asked me to specifically thank Commissioner Schrader for attending our first ever Clackamas County Veterans Expo. I also thank you to the Clackamas County Community College President, Dr. Tim Cook, and the Veterans Resource Center for hosting the event. It was a phenomenal event. It was a great event with 50 vendors and approximately 150 veterans and family members in attendance. And you know what? We're really excited about the next event, which will be the Women's Veterans Event held in 2026. We also plan on, hopefully, VAC and our office in particular, partner on doing expo events, hopefully every other year in Clackamas County. It was well received. With that, in closing, our last piece of business is the Operation Green Light. And at this time, if anybody has any questions, we are available for questions.
Questions? Don't see any right now.
Well, do you want to tell us where Operation Green
Yes,
Light came
glad
from?
to do that. Thank you.
And how it originated, and it's been in its fifth year.
Yeah, this is actually a national effort that was started with the National Association of Counties. And we are one of 3 counties in the state of Oregon that are actually participating in this. I believe it's Lincoln County and Columbia County that are also participating. And then I heard this morning that Multnomah County is going to be doing some things as well. So
They light up a whole bridge in green.
yes, yes. We've got to beat them next year. Just throwing that
tell
out
ya.
there. We're got to do more stuff next year. But the idea is that it highlights the 200,000 plus annual military transitions to civilian life in the United States. We know, statistically, we know less than 1% of our population actually serves in the United States military, and less than 5% of our population is some type of veteran for serving in the military. We have a huge veteran presence in the state of Oregon, and we are especially in Clackamas County, we're the 4th largest veterans population in the entire state. And so honoring veterans and their continued contribution to service through this initiative is huge, because what it does is it basically asks our neighbors and friends to change out a light bulb in their house in a very visible spot, either in their window or on their front porch. We've even done it here in the county building. If you go outside tonight and look up, you'll see a lot of the windows. I know I saw a few on the 4th floor in the commissioner's offices where there's a lamp with a green light bulb. And the idea is to highlight the sacrifices and the service that our veterans and service members, and not only that, but their families have done for this country. So as an Army veteran, I definitely appreciate it. I served in the 90s, and it's a great initiative just to highlight a very small part of our population that has done such a great, tremendous work for our society. Thank you, Commissioner Schrader.
Can I just make a comment, too? I really want to thank our staff, Tony and Emily, and all of you folks for putting this together. I've been carrying this banner for 5 years. So thank you.
Yeah.
Which means you're going to have to read the resolution, because I'm verklempt. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Are we, I don't know if we're there yet. Are we there? Are you sure, Commissioner?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I won't make it through.
We appreciate you, Commissioner Schrader. Thank you for all of your work for veterans across the decades and the years.
Oh, thank you.
From Salem to NACO.
It's a
We,
long haul.
we appreciate advocates like you. God, I can't see you cry. You're going to make all the rest of us cry, Commissioner. We don't, okay.
I'm trying to stop. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I would be honored to read this resolution. In the matter of proclaiming Clackamas County as a green light for Veterans County, resolution. Whereas the residents of Clackamas County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of those who served in the armed forces have been vital to maintaining the freedoms and the way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas Clackamas County seeks to honor individuals who have made countless sacrifices for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, veterans, foreign wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as county veterans service officers in 29 states to help fellow armed service members access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future. And whereas studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life. And whereas active military service members transitioning from military service are at high risk of suicide during the first year after military service. And whereas the National Association of Counties encourages all counties, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Greenlight for veterans. And whereas Clackamas County appreciates the sacrifice for our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted. Now therefore be it resolved, with designation as a green light for Veterans County, Clackamas County hereby declares November 4th through 11th, 2025, as a time to salute and honor the service and the sacrifice of those transitioning from active service. Dated this 6th day of November, 2025, the Board of Clackamas County Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why don't you show us what's in your swag bag?
Yeah.
And if I may, Chair Roberts, as
Yes.
well, we do have some extra green light bulbs for anybody in the audience that may want them, or if anybody who's listening wants them. Yeah, the Eagles, that's the Eagles, those are great. We love those. A lot of our clients love those. They can come to the Clackamas County Veteran Service Office, and we'll be able to give them some of the green light bulbs in the
Yes,
flyer.
fantastic.
And my understanding is that Amazon gives us a discount on the green light bulbs, too.
They did, and we got lucky to get the ones we got because, man, some counties were hitting up Amazon for these.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
Nice.
So I want to give our board a chance to make a comment, and I see Commissioner Savas has his light on. Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
was just going to ask if we want to make our comments after we make the motion for the resolution under comments, or do it now.
I can go ahead and do it now,
Okay.
I think.
I won't go into my, I'm not a veteran, I won't go into my background in my family members. You've heard some of that from me before, but it's always November and November 11th, or the period around this time. I too get choked up, and Martha and I have been on a long haul. I want to just thank Martha and the previous commission for adding to the VSOs way back about what, 14, 15 years ago. Got more staff, and more staff means more benefits to more veterans who earned those benefits, by the way. And all the great work we've done along the way. And as I was telling Commissioner West, using the example of how Clayton Moore came about for housing unit, that was a result of the momentum we created with the Veterans Village, as you're right. And so good things happen, and opportunities present themselves. So this is another great example, and I know that next Tuesday, I believe is November 11th, that we will be going about and visiting and going to some veterans events around the county. But there's a lot of heartfelt, very emotional times when we all kind of tear up, and I'm holding that back now. But again, my gratitude to all the veterans that have served and those that are not with us today, that put their life on the line and paid the ultimate sacrifice. I know that Chair Kimmel just left. She's a get it done kind of person, if you don't know her. So I know she left, but I just want to give her a special shout out for all her work and how the veterans, the VAC, the VAC committee has really turned themselves around here in recent months. So thank you for all your good work. Chair, that's what I have. I yield back.
All right, thank you. Commissioner West.
Thank you. I have the honor to serve in the United States Navy Reserves. I hold the rank of lieutenant. I get to help run a medical unit. I haven't been nearly I haven't served nearly as long as many, and I haven't nearly made the same sacrifice, but it is an absolute honor to wear the uniform. And I love the culture of the county around supporting veterans. And, you don't always feel that. And I think my colleagues don't always feel that. And they have quietly sacrificed so much. I know young men and women that came back from overseas and they're just not the same. Their marriages struggle, their families struggle. They contemplate that the only way out to deal with the pain is to end their own lives. It's a story all too common, and it's increasing in our county. And they feel alone. They feel like that the community that they once completely immersed themselves in is no longer there. Sometimes it's hard to understand where the purpose is. And those are struggles they wouldn't have if they didn't choose to sign up for all of us. I can think of a specific man right now. I can see his face. We talk often, and real conversations about his real struggles. His Veterans Day's not easy for him. Memorial Day's hard for him because he looks at the pictures of the people that didn't come home with him. He'll send me this and says, "Today's hard for me, Ben." I don't know what that's like. I haven't had to make that sacrifice as a lieutenant. I hope to God I never do. But this young man did. And his story is common. And there are neighbors struggle to find employment, struggle to figure out how to navigate civilian life. It's not easy. And I'm glad that in whatever small way we can all step up at the county to make that transition easier, to honor that real sacrifice that our fellow Americans have made so that we can have so many of the great things that we take for granted, from great microbrews to family celebrations to the right to vote, to share our civil discourse, hopefully respectfully. All of those things that we do every single day are because of real sacrifices that men and women have made. And some of them don't come home, we know that, but some of them really struggle when they do. So I hope we're there for them. I think this county is doing that. And it's just an absolute honor to represent the board now and fill the big shoes of Commissioner Savas to be our liaison to VAC and see the great, you all are cooking with gas, man. You guys are doing it. And I really appreciate that you guys have really picked up the baton and you're running with it. And it's really exciting to see you guys operate in such an effective and functional way. And yeah, this is a great opportunity for us. I hope that you guys all have a chance to celebrate Veterans Day, to reflect on what that is. Yeah, once again, to everybody in the state of Oregon and everybody in Clackamas County and every family member and every neighbor, thank you to all of you to making sure that we are here to support the men and women who have served in the armed services. And I appreciate all of your support and my ability to do that even as a commissioner. It takes me away from this job sometimes to do a different type of public service. So this is a great thing to be doing and to highlight it. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you. Commissioner Helm.
No, I just want to say thank you for those who have served. Thank you for your service, and those who have sacrificed. I don't come from a family with a lot of veterans. My dad was in the Coast Guard in the middle of Kodiak, Alaska, in the middle of nowhere. And the only thing I can tell you is that I have read some of his letters he wrote, and he was the most lonely person on earth because I kind of think he was up there all by himself back in the day. Back when I was a teenager, I was in Civil Air Patrol, and I had the honor of serving in the Color Guard in the Albany's parade every year, which I think they still have the biggest Veterans Day parade in the state of Oregon. Very somber day. I learned a lot during those times. Picture me back 14, 15 years old with a uniform on, and it really brought home to me the sacrifices that service members do, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm very thankful for this board, again, being new. The work they've done in the past for veterans is just monumental, and I think it will continue at the rate it's going. But thank you for your service.
Yeah, and just a quick comment. I just want to extend my thanks to all our veterans and their families for the incredible service that they have made and those that are continuing to make it today. My father was in the Air Force. My grandfather was actually in World War I. My daughter is married to a veteran, and I got to, when he was in the service, I got to see a number of the times where pre-deployment where he'd go get all the shots he'd have to get and then have reactions, and I thought, oh my gosh. So there's so much sacrifices that these individuals make that a lot of us don't even realize. And so, so really my heart goes out to all our veterans and their service. And I also want to kind of extend a big thanks to Martha and Paul and Ben as well for all the things that they've done to get us to this point, helping support all our veterans. And we're new, and we definitely appreciate everything that's done here in the county to support our veterans. So with that being said, I'm going to turn to my colleague, who would like to make a motion, and I might kind of hint maybe it should be you, Martha.
Okay. All righty. Okay, here we go. I move we approve the resolution to recognize veterans and designate Clackamas County as a green light for Veterans County.
Second.
All right. Commissioner Schrader has moved to approve the resolution to recognize our veterans and designate Clackamas County as a green light for Veterans County. It's been seconded by Commissioner Helm. Excuse me. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, I'm turning to our clerk to call the poll.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Okay, before we move on, there we go. Let's just take a quick pause, and we'd really like the opportunity to take some photos if we could. And so, colleagues, can we step down in the front and do that real quick? All staff, all veterans, please come forward. Staff.
All right, we are gonna get cozy here. Everybody join together. We'll flank you, Martha. Going back. Seeing everybody? All right, look this way, please. Look this way. Here we go. And we're gonna back up a little bit further. All right, we're good.
Yeah, well, I remember you're a veteran.
Well, thank you.
Vice Chair, would you call a short recess?
I will call a short recess, and we'll reconvene in about 5 minutes.
All right, we'll reconvene the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners business meeting. Gary, what's next?
Thank you, Chair. Next is a public hearing. First hearing, approval of an annexation proposal, number 2025-007, for a territory located at 12925 Southeast Almond Court in Clackamas, Oregon. No county general funds are involved. Jeff Munns, Assistant County Counsel, will present. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. Chair, Commissioners, we have another annexation into Clackamas County Service District Number 1, one of the component units of Water Environment Services. This is a single-family residence that has been on septic that will be transitioning into receiving sewer services from our district. This annexation came to us. It's in a proper form. It's consistent with our comprehensive plan to make the switch into the sewer service. The process has been followed consistent with state law and the Metro Code that follows the procedures and notice requirements for this type of a annexation. Wes has endorsed the annexation. All the required notices have been sent and posted and so on. We've received no public comment on this annexation, and staff recommends approval of the annexation for this property into Wes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Munns. Any questions from my colleagues? Commissioner Helm?
Well, after our recent presentation by Bronson, it's hard to believe that there is so is it's valued at $180,485?
That is what it says in our records, yes.
Wow, that is exceptionally low for Happy Valley. I was just doing a little Google search on it here.
Yeah, and this is a
to see what
rate-based
kind of
district.
home, yeah, it's, I see it's a rather small home. All right, that's an extremely low number, so.
Yes, and for this district, and this is a rate-based service, and so the assessed value is part of the requirements where we put in the materials for the findings. However, it's not something that has an impact on the operations for the receiving the sewer service. It's rate-based.
Okay.
I can add a little bit of understanding there. So that's not the market value.
Okay.
So
It's a tax
the very
assessed
old,
value.
the oldest properties have the biggest delta between assessed value, tax assessed value and market value. So my home it was built in 1939, so therefore it's inching up 3% per year, but it's still far behind compared to a home that's only 5 years old, because 5 years ago it got assessed at, that rate then.
I know.
So,
Oh, I'm aware. I'm completely aware, Commissioner.
so, yeah, so when I look at that, I say, okay, well, I wonder what the market value is.
Yeah, interesting,
Yes, you get a big delta on some of these homes that haven't changed in a long time. Yes.
interesting, wow.
All right, if there's no other questions, I'll open it up for a public hearing. So clerk, would you please moderate that for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've received no blue cards. If you're attending this meeting in person and wish to comment on this specific matter, this is your final opportunity to please fill out a blue card and deposit in the box that can be found by the center doors. Mr. Chair, I see no members of the public who wish to comment on this specific matter who are attending in person. With your assent, I'll move to those attending virtually. If you're attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment on this specific matter only, this is your opportunity to please raise your hand, and I will call on you in the order that I see. Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public, either physically or virtually present, who wish to comment on this specific matter today.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. Any further comments, my colleagues? With that being said, could I have a motion?
Chair, I move we approve annexation proposal number 2025-007.
I'll second.
Commissioner Savis has moved to approve the annexation proposal 2025-007. Commissioner West has seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Savis.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Munns. And Gary, what's next?
Thank you. Next is the county consent agenda. Andrew, would you please read the consent agenda?
Consent agenda for the Board of County Commissioners. Item A, elected officials. 1, approval of previous business meeting minutes for the Board of County Commissioners. 2, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Department of Revenue for map development to improve ad valorem property tax system administration. Agreement values $24,000 for 1 year. Funding is through the Oregon Department of Revenue. No county general funds are involved. B, Clackamas 911 CCOM. 1, approval of a contract amendment with Priority Dispatch Corporation for call taker medical triage program software. Amendment value is $112,000 for 5 years. Total contract value is $222,430 for 10 years. Funding is through user fees and state 911 taxes. No county general funds are involved. C, Transportation and Development. 1, approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Oregon Department of Transportation for the Amasiga Road Roundabout Project. Total project value is $5,675,465 for 5 years. Funding is through the Community Road Fund. No county general funds are involved. 2, approval of purchase order for magnesium chloride supplies used for de-icing and anti-icing of county roadways. Order value is $250,000 for 3 years. Funding is through the County Road Fund. No county general funds are involved. D, Finance. 1, approval of a public improvement contract with Johnson Controls for heating and cooling control system upgrades at the Clackamas County Public Services Building. Contract value $670,511 for 8 months. Funding is through budgeted county general funds. Mr. Chair, that concludes the consent agenda.
All right. Colleagues, anything you want to remove? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
I move we consume, that we approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Right. Commissioner Schrader's moved to approve the consent agenda as read. Commissioner Helm has seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
I now recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Water Environment Services Board of Directors. Gary?
Next is the consent agenda for Water Environment Services. Andrew, would you please read the consent agenda?
Water Environment Services Board of Directors Consent Agenda. Item A, approval of a contract amendment with Jacobs Engineering Group for updated hydraulic modeling. Amendment value is $132,248 for no time increase. Total contract value $605,009 for 3 years. Funding is through Water Environment Services Sanitary Sewer Construction Fund. No county general funds are involved. Mr. Chair, that concludes the Water Environment Services Consent Agenda.
Thank you, Andrew. Any directors want to add or remove anything to the consent agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
I move we approve the Water Environment Services consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners. Director Helm has moved to approve the consent agenda. Director Savas has seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll for us?
Director West.
Aye.
Director Schrader.
Aye.
Director Savas.
Aye.
Director Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, and thank you, colleagues. I will now adjourn as the Water Environment Services Board of Directors and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. Gary.
Next is County Administrator update. Today, I actually want to update you on your emergency declaration you filed 1 week ago today, 7 days ago, regarding food scarcity in Clackamas County. You directed staff to come up with a proposal on how to spend up to potentially $100,000 in county general funds to support mostly at this point food insecurity, as well as potentially women, infant, and children, WIC, loss of formula. So here's what staff has come up with, and I'm prepared to implement it unless you have any concerns. Here's what we propose: $50,000 to Clackamas Service Center to distribute to food pantries throughout their network in the county. Because Clackamas Service Center serves all of Clackamas County except for 3 communities, to then give $10,000 each to 3 food pantries that is not served by the Clackamas Service Center. They are Estacada, Colton, and Sandy. So that is a total of $80,000. Hold on the remaining $20,000 to see if there's any movement on the federal side for the women, infants, and children WIC formula. If there's no action by next week, then I'll come back to you with a proposal how to spend the remaining $20,000 related to the WIC formula. So that is my proposal. I don't need a motion, but I'm prepared to implement this today unless you have any concerns, which I'm here open to hearing right now.
Thank you, Gary. And Commissioner Helm.
So this is only for formula?
The $20,000 would be to support women, infant, and children. I believe it was related to formula, but
WIC.
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 WIC, it's to support WIC stuff,
WIC, the WIC.
including formula.
Including formula, not just for formula, but for funding related to the WIC program
okay.
that's being not supported by the loss of the federal action. But again, holding up to $20,000 for WIC funding to be determined next week.
Okay, so will they have to show their WIC card when they go to Clackamas Service Center to make sure that they are?
So for the food, it's
recipient.
SNAP. It's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP benefit cards. No, they don't. We're totally relying on the service center and the food pantries to distribute food as they see fit for those people who most need it. But no, it is administratively difficult for us to require that.
Okay.
Right, good question. Commissioner West.
Yeah, thank you. So a lot of this has been trying to be as quick as possible. And so it's my understanding that even the lobbyists that we're working with directly with the grocers are trying to get us best pricing to make these dollars stretch. Now, they can work directly and distribute directly to these different food banks that Gary mentioned, the Clackamas Service Center and the other ones in the more rural part of our community. And to try to allow them to be as direct as possible. Now, I know the grocers are involved, the lobbyists are involved to try to negotiate the best food price that we can get. We wanted to make those dollars stretch. So there's not a lot of, well, there's really, for individuals that need it, they can just go there, right? So I don't think you have to show your WIC card, but if your baby needs formula, we'll make sure the baby has formula. If you need, some carbohydrates, some fruit, some meat proteins, we'll make sure that they have at least those resources bolstered so they can provide those to people that are in need. So am I understanding, Gary, that they're going to do their best to work with these grocers to get best price available so that we're just not handing out cash, but it's specifically going to go to these essential products that they need? And how are we verifying that that's where that cash is going to be used?
Right. We're strongly encouraging the entities I just mentioned to do that with the grocers, but I'm suggesting we don't try to manage or coordinate that, otherwise it'll be another 2 or 3 weeks. I want to get the money out the door, as you do as well.
There was a conversation about just giving gift cards. I was not supportive of that behind the scenes. We haven't got a chance to talk because I felt like, one, it's impossible to track because we need to be accountable for gift cards. It's too broad, and there's a lot of things at the grocery store that we don't necessarily need tax dollars funding and supporting, right? So that was an option to be quick, but I didn't support that. I think we've pivoted away from that, and rightfully so. But I think this gets kind of where we have been wanting to go. It's a little different, but I think it gets us there.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Savas?
Yeah, well, the effort is, sensitive to the crisis. A lot of things have changed since then, and I honestly thought that maybe this whole thing or CR or something at the federal level would take place. And, and the STAP recipients, which was our issue, knowing that we were trying to do that we didn't have a mechanism to directly supplement or get those dollars to the SNAP recipients. So this is a roundabout way of trying to get food assistance out there. And a number of organizations have stepped up. The state stepped up with $7 million. They decided to distribute that to the food systems that they are aware of. And so in hindsight, and also with some foresight, not knowing when the federal government will actually have the 100% SNAP, I think it's 50% now approximately. Part of me, if $20,000 is that contingency to kind of fill gaps, but I just wondering if a strategy is to identify where the gaps really are or where they come to our attention that there's gaps, if we completely expend it now just to distribute it, just to get it out the door versus get it out the door strategically and surgically to areas that need it. I think there's 2 different strategies that we could apply. Number one, just get the money out, and it should go to food, or to sit back and make sure that in the system where the state's distributing it, that there's any holes or issues where maybe there's no food whatsoever that should be distributed. So just want to put that on the table as, again, my goal is to be effective as possible with the dollars.
All right, thank you, Commissioner.
Can I
Commissioner,
respond,
yeah,
Commissioner?
yeah, absolutely.
I agree, and we tried to have that nuanced conversation, and one of those suggestions that I said, both from the dais and early on as we kind of stepped up quickly to do this, was we have these conversations with our service providers, our food banks and pantries. What is the specific gaps? Where can we stretch the furthest? But the more we dove into moving quickly and getting those nuanced answers, it seemed to be really difficult to do both logistically to fill those gaps. And so this was having some trust and relationship with these organizations to have these funds to go directly to the grocer themselves to know what those gaps were. And hopefully, we're hoping that they will use that money for that specifically first, prioritize what you're saying, Commissioner. I agree, and that's what I want. I don't know how we act can we do both, or do we have a short-term, long-term strategy depending on how this plays out? Like short-term, we get it out, and the long-term, we have conversations, and I don't know what your thoughts are, but I had that exact same concern.
Chair, could I reply
Yes.
directly?
Yeah.
So, for example, I hear what you're saying, and I know the fact that we're dialoguing is really a healthy thing here. So the reason I say that is there's a lot, and I said this before, there's a lot of people that provide food that are not part of either a pantry or I forget what the other word was.
A food bank.
Food bank, yeah,
Yeah.
food bank or pantry. So,
Yeah.
and for example, we're around the corner from Veterans Day. We know that Amen and other providers that
Yeah.
provide food for veterans and so forth, they're not necessarily in that network, right? And I don't know what their needs are, right? And I know our staff did some work, some groundwork apparently, and maybe they have identified that or looked at those areas where I think those needs will fall through the cracks because they're focusing on pantries and they're focusing on food banks.
Yeah.
We also have a lot of faith-based organizations that don't look to banks. They actually do their own thing. Their membership collects food and they distribute it out. I mean, all around the county. It's impressive. I mean, I'm just big thank you out to all of them. But there's some of those that fall through the cracks, and I just thought that this $100,000 could be that contingency to make sure we're surgically applying it. And I don't know when this whole thing ends.
Not soon enough.
Yeah, and Thanksgiving's around the corner.
Yeah.
You know, the holidays are around the corner. So as long as I got it on the table, I just want to just kind of think a little bit wider and broader about how we surgically apply this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Helm.
Well, the last I heard, the 50% is delayed. People haven't gotten this, and now all the states have to go through and figure out how to redistribute 50%. Apparently, they don't know the half button, 50% button, but just saying, it's not getting there. It's a nice even number. I don't think we have the time to be surgical. I think there's people in dire need, and I think we have to move forward with distributing what we can. And the food banks, the food pantries, they're the boots on the ground. They are seeing what's needed, and I'm hoping that they will, in turn, use this money wisely, because their heart is really in making sure that people are well taken care of. So, and we have someone to come to speak to this.
Live updates.
So Tony Marinick in our office is the lead on this, working with Daniel Nybauer of Disaster Management, Mary Rumbaugh of Health Housing Human Services. Can you give a quick update to address what you're hearing, Tony?
Absolutely. Commissioners, thank you. Tony Marinick, Policy Advisor with the Office of County Administration. There is a team of people having regular calls on this issue. I want to offer a couple of insights regarding the surgical implementation of funding and how to deploy those dollars to specific needs. The reality is that we are hearing anecdotally from partners across the county that they are seeing 25, 35, 45, 100% increases in demand.
Wow.
And that they are stretched thin today. They are going through a week's worth of food in 2 days. So the reality is that we are seeing increased demand. We are also understanding that the state of Oregon's $5 million that they're distributing through the Oregon Food Bank will be distributed through that network. That network, the Oregon Food Bank network, reaches a great many food pantries in the Clackamas County area. It is difficult to map which areas are not covered, but our understanding is that they cover much of the county. The hope and intent of the proposal before you today was to try and get it into the network as quickly as possible and use partners that are ready to take advantage of the funding and deploy it. The intent behind 3 of the rural communities being identified specifically to receive direct allocations is that they are not as well resourced or as well connected to the larger network. And so we are also overlaying where our SNAP recipients are geographically and where our WIC recipients are geographically to try and as best we can target those communities that we believe are the most impacted now and already have this demand in place. The question around, sorry, Commissioner Helm, your last point around the, I'm trying to keep a number of things in my head. Would you remind me your question on the last point?
I didn't really have a question. It was more of a statement that I think we need to release this to these food banks and let them decide where the need is the most. My first question was about whether the people who go have to show a SNAP card or something to show that that is they. One of the things that happens in these types of crises, emergencies, is they're abused. We are all aware that they're abused. Now, you'd hate to think that somebody who doesn't need it would go do it. And I had asked this question of the gal at Clackamas Service Center. Yeah. And they're very adamant that this is not, there's so little abuse going on. So, but my whole point was WIC, they specifically need formula. And are these food banks going to be able to get their hands on it? That's something that they can't go get a tub of cucumbers and, feed their baby. So I'm just saying I just want to make sure that the right people are getting taken care of.
The present discussion around the $20,000 for WIC formula is that we're going to hold on to that money until next week. Okay. If we do deploy that money to WIC formula, it would be through, we can't use the WIC infrastructure because of certain federal regulations, but the intent would be to target those folks who are receiving WIC formula today. Now, the other point around needing to show a SNAP card or a WIC card at food pantries, I should say. Food pantries within Clackamas County, the vast majority are low or no barrier. You show up, you indicate you have a need, we don't ask questions. And our concern is that if we require someone showing up at the door to show a SNAP card to use the food bank, that they are going to turn away and not access services.
Yeah, and I guess my thoughts are this, just in our conversation with the Clackamas Service Center, again, 9,000 meals a month that they're providing, and you just telling us the dramatic increase. And I'll just be frank, my honest opinion is the federal government moves slow, very slow. The state moves a little faster. And local government, we have the ability to really make quick impacts. And so, again, I just thank all my colleagues for really stepping up on this effort, Ben bringing it forward, and all of us working together on it. I think that, Thanksgiving's upon us. We have a lot of other pressing issues, and I also kind of want to comment that the food banks have been in the business of doing this for years, and I believe they also have really good contracts with where they get their food. And I think it's great connecting them, and we might even get a little better deal. I agree with Gary of kind of letting them work it out. But I would encourage, and this is one of the things I learned, is wanting to help myself, right, and donate, is they really need the money versus food, canned food. And the reason is it takes staff time to go through and verify that it's not expired. And what I've heard over and over, what gives them the mobility is if you make a financial contribution. I give a shout out for Clackamas Service Center, and that they do deploy that throughout the county. And so I would just encourage us to try and be nimble and move quickly. I feel like you and Gary and staff came up. This morning I kind of got a quick briefing, and I was like, yes. I was very, very excited that we were able to move this quickly. So I would like to see us move ahead. Commissioner West has a comment.
Yeah, as we go through this, I don't know, Commissioner Savas and Schrader may know this information. I don't know if we've ever declared a state of emergency due to food insecurity from a federal government shutdown. We moved quick. We were the first. We did not throw our hands in the air. We were very nimble right out the gate to be like, how can we get it done and do the best we can as a local county? We were faster than the state. We were faster than other local governments. We pride ourselves on that. I'm interested in an after-action report once this finally subsides to say, what did we learn in this type of an emergency? What were the actual barriers? How are we prepared for the next stupid federal government shutdown that none of us are happy about? That's just my personal opinion. I threw that in there. But I think it's interesting as this is just a different, nuanced learning opportunity for us. How did we navigate it? What did we learn from it? What could we do better next time? How can we, do we get better contacts? Do we have a better connection to our food banks and these supports in our communities? Did we learn anything new? I think that's all very important stuff that we should look forward to. I'm going to agree with, and none of us disagree, I don't feel like, but I'm going to agree with the thoughts of Commissioner Helm and Chair Roberts on let's do this. Let's get this out. Let's try to keep a pulse on what's going on, and see how we can also be connectors to other resources to the people who have that need in Clackamas County.
Thank you. Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, I think with the additional information that Tony Marinick just brought to our attention as far as seeing that need, I agree. So let's just get it out. I think what Gary proposed as far as the percentages and holding the 20 for WIC recipients is a good strategy. So.
All right, you do not need a motion because you've already directed staff to come up with a plan. So to reiterate, here's what we're doing. $50,000 to Clackamas Service Center, $10,000 to Estacada Food Pantry, $10,000 to Colton Food Pantry, $10,000 to Sandy Food Pantry, total of $80,000, all to be used for food to get out the door as soon as possible. Holding $20,000, we'll bring it back to you if there's a need for the WIC purposes. That's what we'll do.
All right.
Thank
One
you.
last, I wanted to give Martha a chance. She had her light on.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. We did have one of our produce distributors want to get involved. I don't know if that's happened or not, or if it's even realistic. So.
We are in conversations with a handful of produce distributors. There are some significant logistical challenges in distributing fresh produce.
That's what I think, yeah. I
But
was just thinking from a health perspective, getting fresh food out to people is really important too, but I do know that the logistics and getting it packaged, getting it delivered would be a bear, yeah.
We are not saying no, but we are saying that it will take us time and resources and partners that can accept those resources.
Thank you.
All right.
That's my administrator update. Thank you, Commissioners. Back to you, Chair.
All right. Commissioner Communication, Martha.
I'm not going to say too much today. I've been, other than thank you for last night. That was the newest format we ever had, and I think it worked really well. And it was great to be up on this stage with all of you. And the feedback I was getting, and Ben and I talked about this last night when he was driving me home, because I didn't want to drive in the dark last night. So in any case, everybody said they're just so happy that they see a board that we get along so well. That we obviously like one another. We obviously enjoy each other's company. We respect one another. And, and I want to thank Chair Roberts for helping to bring that tenor to us, because, this is a hard job, as I said, and we should be supporting one another because it is a difficult job. And really, a lot of people don't really even completely understand what counties do and how they do it. So it's also our job to get that out there. And I think everybody did just a good job last night. It was a pleasure to be with you. So
And
that's all I
following
got.
your lead of not left, not right, but forward,
Forward,
right?
thank you.
And I think that's a philosophy that you've carried on, which I appreciate.
Yeah, and I found out about it. Actually, it's not original to me. I want to give credit to the person who came up with that, and that was Adam Klugman.
Oh.
And he is Jack Klugman's son.
Yeah.
And he was doing media work when I was a brand-new commissioner, and he came up with this. And that's kind of what people want. We hear from the extremes, but really, most people just want the moderate middle to do the job and be outcome-based. And if we focus on that, we get so much more done. So, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, I concur with that same theme last night was, and I think people want they want boards, their government, not just the county commission, but their councils and the state and they expect us to work together productively on behalf of the people we represent. I think that's really fundamental. And so, we are a new commission as far as a body of 5, with 2 additions, Chair Roberts and Commissioner Helm. And as we are maturing collectively with each other and learning each other, it shows there's power in teamwork. I'm a big team believer. And I always use that basketball analogy. If you're going to go up against the Chicago Bulls and you're only one member on the floor and there's 5 of them, good luck. It takes a team. So, and the other theme I use is there's power in team. And so all for that, I think that was recognized last night. So we always need to continue to work together, and I'm looking forward to our team building to that end. Lastly, I just want to just say that, this time of year, as well as Memorial Day, is kind of a sombering time, knowing that, and everything we talked about here today and what we will be talking next week, and it just brings back a lot of memories. So I tend to be less verbose and have this more somber thing going on. It's just how I'm wired. So I don't have much more to add, Chair, so I yield back.
Thank you. Commissioner West.
Thank you, Chair. Last night was a lot of fun. It was great. I do think the community saw how much we like each other and serve well together, how much collaboration, synergy there is between the 5 of us. And I think we govern that way, and it shows in our county. You can just look at outcomes. You can look at other counties, look at our county, and judge us on our outcomes. And we're not perfect, and we're still growing and trying to do things and fix issues. But I think that there's a stark difference between us and other jurisdictions, and that's not by accident. It has a lot to do with how well we work together. So that was great. I'll probably bring this to an issues meeting. I brought this up to the chair today. It was just reported a couple days ago on Coin 6 that Portland's longstanding Veterans Parade is not happening this year because of funding. They needed only $20,000 to make that happen, and they weren't able to raise that. A lot of that organization happened, I believe, with an African American veterans group that were supporting this effort. It was going, I believe, since the early 70s. The only real break it took was during COVID. But this year, it's not because of a pandemic, it's because of a lack of support. And maybe the city of Portland can help revive this a little bit. Maybe they'll be willing to help it in their jurisdiction. It happened right by where I grew up, about a mile-long parade on Martin Luther King Boulevard, and bands and service members, and there was a contingency of Native Americans that served in the armed forces. It brought a cultural piece to it from the different tribes. It was a really great parade. I remember it, but it's not happening this year. As we celebrate our green light efforts and our work with Camp Withicum, and Council Member Eric Zimmerman, who is also a colonel over here at Camp Withicum, is working with the county here. Those are all great efforts, but I would like to propose, and I know it's not issues, this is just councilor comments, but whatever. Gary laughs.
There he goes.
Here we go. I think we should do a parade in our county. Why not? Maybe it's a mile long or so, and we bring together the region the best we can, but why not Clackamas? Camp Withicum's here. I think it's an opportunity that we could figure out with our community. I think we could raise the money independently. We talk about being more forward-facing with the people that have served in the armed services. So, I don't know. I like us to consider that conversation moving forward. Maybe it will be coming to an issues in the near future, but maybe next year, the next Veterans Parade, we start talking about it now, that we're motivated to do something like a parade in Clackamas, and maybe some people from Portland can come to our parade, because if it's not happening in their community, we can invite them to ours. I would like to see that. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and yes, thank you, everybody. And once again, it was a great event last night, and good job to our PGA. That was, you guys pulled off a good event. Steve Dunn was our moderator. We had a wonderful video from the beginning and the end that talked about the county and all the great things that we're doing in Clackamas. Good Q&A, good attendance. I mean, I liked the room because it allowed more people. The only thing that felt a little awkward is we were so high and far away from the people, but that's just the dynamics of the room. But that's not really a critique. It's just a reality based on the makeup of the room. But it was a really great event and a really great opportunity. I had lots of people come up to me and really that really enjoyed it. So good job, Clackamas County.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Helm?
Yeah, thank you. I also had fun last night. I will learn to be quick on my feet like you guys. You guys have been doing this for so long. I read from my script about the Sunrise Corridor thing. I was way more comfortable doing that than off the cuff, because I kind of go rogue sometimes. You don't want me to do that. I will say I do have regrets about last night. There was a lot of staff in the audience, and I want to give them a shout out right now for thanking them. Everyone who's been educating me since the day I got here, the number of briefings I've had, the number of rebriefings I've had. I've met with some people up to a dozen times already, because there's so many complicated issues, and there's just a lot going on. And their patience and their candor with me, I just want to say thank you to everyone out there that works for Clackamas County that has helped me through this. And to those people in the community, and I mentioned a couple last night, who are also educating me, and I really enjoy their knowledge, their wealth of knowledge, as all of you have as well. So thank you for that. And just humor me for just a minute. You know, I have people say to me all the time, I wouldn't do what you do for $1 million. And, you know, how often do you hear that, Paul? It's funny because, and I say, it's funny, I really enjoy this, but I get a daily affirmation in my email every night, in the middle of the night, and then I read it in the morning, and weirdly, they're so spot on, but I have to read today's, so indulge me for just a minute. So, it says, first as a child, it seems the entire world is there for you, and you rush to drink from its every cup, sometimes wondering to yourself how anything could ever be more fun. Then as you grow older, if you're observant, you realize much of what you enjoy was made possible by the contributions, work, and labor of those who came before you, and you're taken aback, disappointed even, because with maturity you can now see cracks in the facades, imperfections in the details, and 10,000 ways it could all have been done better. At which point, folks typically choose one of two paths: spend a lifetime lamenting how far from perfect things are, or to one degree or another, roll up their sleeves and pitch in. And should they choose the latter with gusto, they will come to know, to the core of their sacred being, that the differences they might make in the world cannot be made by another. And then they will discover the answer to their often wondered childhood question, that the most fun one can have in time and space comes from making such a difference, and that the joy derived from serving is 10,000 times that of being served. And that was my message from last night after this. So I will say, in a nutshell, I do love serving, and I enjoy working with all of you, and thank you. Back to you.
Nice, thanks. All right, looks like I'm up. Again, yeah, thanks to my colleagues for the State of the County address, and I do agree. I think it went wonderful, so thank you, everybody, very much. And also want to echo thanking Gary and all the staff that worked so hard on that. There was a lot put into that behind-the-scenes stuff, so I want to thank you. I would also encourage the public and others, we always want to do better. So I'm asking for your input. What went well, what didn't, what would you like to see different? And we'll look at making those changes for next year. So I always think you kind of brought it up, after action. I think that's really important to do that, and I think that will help us get better. I wanted to follow up on Commissioner West's comment about parade, and first of all, I think it's a great idea. And I think there's, again, it's kind of working with a variety of people to make some stuff happen. As you kind of talk about where and could we do it, you know? Right now, Oregon City, downtown Main Street's struggling. It'd be great to do it from one end to the other and end at the Grand Ronde. And team up with Kathleen.
It's a little short.
Kellogg. Well, you know.
Sometimes shorter's better.
We could start a little further down, you know. It's an idea, but I think it's obviously doable, and I think that's worthy of a further discussion about that, because I honestly don't think we can thank our veterans enough. And with that being said, you know, I encourage everybody, if you see a veteran, they have a hat on, just a simple thank you for your service goes a long ways. And I also just want to say what's what's so great about this county is really, we see this so much, and that's people helping people, whether it's vets helping other vets, seniors helping other seniors. A lot of people are stepping up on this shortage, and again, my thanks. I strongly encourage folks to check out Clackamas Service Center's website and help make a donation there. And then one thing, I just kind of a personal story I just want to say real quick, and that is my youngest daughter's a social worker. Works with children and families. They don't make much money, I'll just tell you that, as a social worker. And it kind of was enlightening to me. Her car broke down. And this was yesterday. So I was trying to deal with her. Her car's broke down. She's got to get to work, and and I kind of help facilitate that. We get into the shop, and the mechanic goes, "Yeah, she really needs tires. The treads are horrible. She probably shouldn't even drive it, and it's got this wrong and this wrong, and on top of that, she had a problem with her heaters in her place, and the one thing I've realized is a lot of people don't want to ask for help. That was my daughter, So I guess what I want to say is really we need to ask people, and kind of reach out, because it happened to me personally, and so I guess what I'm trying to get to is economic time. People are having a hard time, and they don't want to ask. So, lesson for me. So, anyway, reach out to your neighbors, reach out to your friends and family. Be sure to check in, and we got to be there for each other. So, and Thanksgiving's coming up. All right.
Catching today, isn't it?
It is. So, with that, on behalf of the board, we'll thank you for joining us. All right.